Good morning dears and welcome to Super Coaching for UPSC by Textbook. And today we meet here to discuss one of the important topic of Indian economy as always, and that is related to subsidy. But let me tell you that why we have decided this topic to be discussed in today's session. So when we compare the Modi government tenure, that means the Modi government is from last 10 years in power. So that means when we talk about 2014 to 19, that means subsidy, that means there was low subsidy in comparison to whatever subsidy expenditure is going to be from 2019 to 2024. So that means the subsidy burden in 10 years tenure of Modi government, the subsidy expenditure by the government of India has increased in second tenure. So although that means the more welfare measures were taken in the first tenure, that is related to housing, that is related to lot many welfare measures or lot many that means welfare schemes was there, but still in the second tenure the subsidy burden has increased. So what are the reasons for that? We will discuss that thing, that it is only because of the COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, so in that context only, I discussed with you that context. Now we will discuss the subsidy scenario in India in detail. So as I talk about that, why that we have discussed. Now let me tell you that in what manner we are going to discuss this session. So first of all, I will define that what is subsidy, and I will also discuss the types of subsidy. After that we will discuss that that implementation, that how subsidy scenario is being implemented in India. Then we will discuss the challenges and the criticism of subsidy. Then we will discuss the reform initiative taken by the government of India in regard to subsidy. After that we will discuss that current scenario, that what are the current policies. So in this session we are going to deal in this way. So let's start our session. So as I talked about that, we have discussed already the context. As I talked about that the subsidy bill has started increasing from 2019 to 2024. That means that government of India as burden of subsidy has increased in the second tenure in respect to first tenure. That means although in the first tenure the government of India taken more welfare measures in comparison to second tenure, but the subsidy burden is more in second tenure in comparison to first tenure. So what are the reasons for that? So that means and it is because of the fully funded food and fertilizer subsidy, that what is there is something which is known as Food Security Act. Under that Food Security Act, that government of India, that is the liability of the government of India to provide the 75% that means the food to the 75% population of India. And that means initially under the Food Security Act, government of India was providing that giving the food at the rate that means at the subsidized rate, that was 1 rupees per kg, 2 rupees per kg and 3 rupees per kg. That means for the that means for wheat it was 2 rupees kg, and for the rice it was 3 rupees per kg. But what happened under the Prime Minister 𝐔𝐏𝐸𝐬𝐭, the Prime Minister of India, that means the Modi government has entirely free it. Okay, so because of that the food subsidy has increased. Because of that the food subsidy has increased, and this financial year, that means in the coming financial year, that the maximum amount of subsidy is given under the food subsidy only. Okay, and that means the total subsidy burden is 3.8 lakh crores. Out of that 3.8 lakh crores, the 2 crores has been that means has to be diverted towards the food subsidy. So it has the major component in the subsidy, and that is there is fertilizer subsidy, and just to reduce the fertilizer subsidy, we discussed yesterday itself that we come with another scheme that is known as Nano DAP. Okay, so that is just to reduce the fertilizer subsidy as well, which were previously only partially funded. As I talked about that previously it was partially funded, now it is completely funded by the government of India, and that is under the Prime Minister 𝐔𝐸𝐬𝐿. So that means that is the reason. And other thing is that the increase in subsidy of the bill of the government in the second tenure compared to the first tenure can be attributed to the several factors, like challenges in the global economic condition, that is nothing but the COVID, And not only COVID, the policy decision, I talked about the food subsidy, I talked about the fertilizer subsidy, and the external, that is going to be Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, although during the 2019 there was focus on launching schemes aimed at universal access of essential goods and services like housing, like sanitation, like banking, like electricity, like cooking gas, etc. That means, as I talked about, that in the first tenure of Modi government, that is from 2014 to 19, although the Modi government has taken more welfare measures in terms of housing facility, in terms of sanitation, in terms of banking, in terms of electricity, in terms of cooking gas, in terms of cooking gas connection, etc. But the thing is, because of this COVID, because that means because of COVID, what is going to be there was that means there was slowdown, economic slowdown. So the government of India has to pump the money. And not only pump the money, they have given the that means under the 𝐔𝐫𝐞𝐥𝐢𝐬𝐭 they have distributed the food, okay, food among the downtrodden section of society. Because of that, the subsidy burden of the government of India has increased. Not only because of that, but because of the Russia-Ukraine war, there is increase in the fertilizer subsidy as well. Okay, so that is the reason. Despite the, so this is the reason. Now we are going to discuss this subsidy scenario in general, that what is the meaning of subsidy. Now we are going to focus on this in detail. Now we are going to focus now we are going to deal with it in detail. So what is going to be? So when we talk about the subsidy, that and welcome to Super Coaching for UPSC by test. And today we meet here to discuss one of the so there is some little issue in the session. So we will start in some time. That means within 5 minutes we are going to resolve this issue and we will continue. देख लो पूरा एक बार. Yes dear, we are going to start once again. So the thing is that as I talked about that we were discussing about the subsidy. So first I will define subsidy, then we will discuss the types of subsidy. After that we will discuss the that implementation of subsidy, then policies, that challenges and criticism of subsidy. After that we will discuss the policies, reforms, and then we will focus on the current scenario. So let's start that we talked about the subsidy. So what is subsidy? Subsidy is nothing but financial assistance provided by the government to individuals or the industries or specific sector. And why? That is that means subsidies are a specific assistance provided by the government to individuals, industries or the sector to encourage specific activities or to address a particular challenge. So let me define once again that what is going to be the subsidy. Subsidy is nothing but financial assistance given by the government to whom? To, it may be the particular individual, it may be industry, or it may be particular sector. And why it is going to be provided by the government? It is being provided to encourage activities, to encourage the specific activities, or to address a particular challenge, to address a particular challenge. So that is nothing but subsidy. That means suppose that fertilizer, we are talking about the fertilizer subsidy. So what is the meaning of how the fertilizer subsidy is being provided by the government? So suppose that for the production of urea, if we talk about the production of urea, suppose that the cost of production of urea to the producer is 1000 rupees of 50 kg bag, but in the market the farmer is getting the 50 kg bag of urea only in 600 rupees. So that means 400 rupees are going to be beared by the government, and that is known as subsidy. In this case it will be known as urea subsidy, it will be known as fertilizer subsidy. So what is subsidy? Subsidy is nothing but financial assistance provided by the government to the individual or industries or specifics or the particular sector. Why? For promoting or encouraging a specific activity or to address particular challenge. So that is nothing but here why the fertilizer subsidy is going to be that, as I talk about that, to address a specific challenge. And what is that challenge? In order to increase the fertility of soil, okay, in order to increase the production, there is need to the farmer need to use the fertilizer, okay. So that means, and it may not be in the economic capacity of the farmers to use 1000 rupees. It is going to increase the cost of production of the farmers. So that means just to address the problem of or challenge of low production, the government of India is going to help out the farmers by providing the fertilizer subsidy. That is nothing but to address a particular challenge. Okay, that is nothing but like government of India is providing minimum support price. So that is nothing but that is just to address, and this minimum support price is under the subsidy only. That means through the minimum support price, what is going to be, government of India try to increase the production of the food crops, especially wheat and rice, because minimum support price is being announced in case of wheat and rice. So that means under the minimum support price, the government of India is going to promise to the farmers that whatever amount of production you are going to take, that means in the with rice and wheat, that means government of India has the legal responsibility to purchase all the production at whatever the prices is being announced by the government of India under MSP. Okay, so what is going to be the purpose of this MSP? The purpose of MSP is going to be to increase the production of wheat and rice. So in order to increase, so that the food security can be ensured in India, so that no one should that means sleep without two square meal. So this is that is nothing but to address a particular challenge. And what is that challenge? Challenge is nothing but to address the challenge of food security, so that each and every, and for that government of India is going to announce the MSP, and MSP is nothing but a subsidy. So this is the meaning. Okay, then when we talk about the types of subsidy, that may be the agriculture subsidy, that may be food subsidy, that may be petroleum subsidy, that may be fertilizer subsidy. This fertilizer subsidy is nothing but part of the agriculture subsidy only. That may be export subsidy, that may be industry specific subsidy, and that may be housing subsidy. Let me, we will discuss it one by one. As I talked about, that there can be agriculture subsidy. Okay, so that means that subsidies provided by the government or the financial assistance provided by the government for the promotion of agriculture activity in order to increase the production in the agriculture sector, that is known as agriculture subsidy. That may be in the form of seed subsidy. That means government of India is also providing the seed subsidy. Government of India is also providing the fertilizer subsidy. Government of India is also providing the electricity subsidy. Not government of India, that electricity subsidy is being provided by the that means concerned state government. Okay, and that is known as power subsidy. So that means these all are going to be part of the agriculture subsidy. So what is the purpose of agriculture subsidy? The purpose or objective of agriculture subsidy is to promote the production. That is nothing to address the specific challenge, to increase the production, to help out the farmers' income, so that their cost of production can be reduced. So that is nothing but agriculture subsidy. When we talk about the food security, food subsidy, as I talked about, that a food subsidy has the greatest weightage in terms of subsidy expenditure. As I talked about that in interim budget 2024-25 for financial year 24-25, that government of India has said that we will give 3.8 lakh crores. Total subsidy is going to be 3.8 lakh crores. Out of this 3.8 lakh crores, 2 lakh crores are going to be given under the food subsidy only. 2 lakh crores. It is, that means more than half is going to be provided under the food subsidy only. Okay, 1.64 crore. 1.64 crore is going to be provided under the fertilizer subsidy only. That 11,928 crores are going to be provided under the petroleum, or we can say LPG subsidy. There is nothing like nowadays government of India is not providing the petroleum subsidy or diesel subsidy, but government of India is providing that LPG subsidy. Okay, LPG subsidy. So that means for that LPG subsidy, that is government of India is going to invest or going to give the financial assistance of 11,928 crores. So we were talking about the food subsidy. So as I talked about that food subsidy, what it is, that there is in 2013 there was something known as National Food Security Act. In 2014, Government of India, or in 2013, government, the then Government of India, that is UPA government, passed a National Food Security Act, and under that National Food Security Act, that they have promised to the nations that the 75% population, that is 75% population of India, that is altogether 75% population of India will be covered under the National Food Security. And under this National Food Security Act, we will provide the subsidies, we will provide the food grains to the downtrodden 75% population of India at a subsidized rate. Okay, and that subsidized rate will be 2 rupees per kg for the wheat and 3 rupees per kg for the that is rice, and 1 rupees per kg for the coarse cereals. Okay, so that means what is that is, and through that 75% population of India should be covered. That was the promise under the National Food Security Act. But what the, when the Modi government came into power, what they said that this was reformed. That means earlier this was, that means they were at the subsidized rate. Now the Modi government said that we will give you all these, that means rice, food, rice, wheat and coarse cereals, that is at free. Okay, that is known as Prime Minister Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Okay, that is known as, and that was up to 2023. Okay, but during the this election of 3 states, or that was in 4 states. So that means because of that, they again extended this Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Yojana for next 5 years. So because of that, there is lot many subsidy, food subsidy. So what is food subsidy? That just to ensure the food security in India, whatever financial assistance Government of India is providing in order to distribute the free food grains to the downtrodden section of society, or to 75% population of India, that is known as food subsidy. And this has the greatest weightage in terms of subsidy burden in India. Okay, so that is the meaning of food subsidy. What is the meaning of petroleum subsidy? As I talked about the petroleum subsidy, that nowadays Government of India is not giving petroleum subsidy or diesel subsidy, but Government of India is providing subsidy on LPG. Okay, and that is for the targeted section. So that is, and for that Government of India is investing, that is 11,928 crores. So that is meaning of petroleum subsidy. When we talk about the fertilizer subsidy, that as I talked about, in order to increase the production, in order to increase the fertility, that Government of India allow or make financial assistance to the farmers so that they can use the fertilizer in order to increase their the productivity of the soil. So that means for that Government of India is providing 2 types of subsidy. One is known as nutrient based subsidy, other is known as urea subsidy. Okay, so that means nutrient based subsidy and the urea subsidy. Under that that is known as fertilizer subsidy. The fertilizer subsidy can be categorized under 2 categories. One is nutrient based subsidy, other is urea subsidy. So that means in order to increase the production, in order to increase the fertility of the soil, that the farmers of India is using a fertilizers. Okay, and the Government of India is providing the subsidy. As I talked about that the cost of DAP bag, is 1,350 rupees. Okay, and it is market value, but if the production, we talk about the production cost is going to be almost 2,450. So that means, and in the market the farmer is going to get the 50 kg bag of DAP 1,350. So the Government of India is providing almost 1,100 rupees subsidy on 50 kg bag. So that is nothing but fertilizer subsidy. So that means this has the that means Government of India is giving 1.64 lakh crores in this interim budget. Okay, has given 1.6 lakh crores in this interim budget. So that is the fertilizer subsidy. What is the meaning of export subsidy? When we talk about the export subsidy, in order to that government of India also that means giving the export subsidy. Export subsidy means in order to increase the exports, in order to encourage the export in India, from India, what government of India is doing? Government of India is giving the financial assistance to the exporter, and that is known as export subsidy. Okay, so that is the meaning of export subsidy. Industry specific subsidy, government of India is also providing the industrial specific subsidy as well. Like government of India is providing subsidy to the textile industries. Okay, so that means the government of India is providing the subsidies to the MSMEs, so that they can, because we have to accept this reality that the MSMEs cannot compete with the MNCs. MSMEs cannot compete with the MNCs because they are capital intensive. The MNCs are capital intensive, whereas MSMEs are labor intensive. They are using modern technology, whereas that MSMEs are not able to use the modern technology. Because of that, the competitive capacity of MSMEs cannot be at par with the MNCs. So that means, and when they are going to have the competition with the MNCs, that means they are going to outrightly, they are going to be out of the competition. So in order to that means inculcate the competitive capacity of MSMEs, government of India is giving the subsidy to MSMEs, so that the cost of production. Why government of India is providing subsidy to MSMEs? Because as I talked about, that MSMEs are labor intensive. Since they are labor intensive, so if they are going to be out of the business, the unemployment rate is going to increase in India. So because of that, we have to accept this, that they cannot have the competitive capacity at par with the MNCs. So we have to give them the incentives, and that incentives is nothing but financial assistance, that is nothing but subsidy, so that they can have the competitive spirit or competitive capability at par with the MNCs, in order to that means avoid the situation of unemployment, and that is nothing but known as industry specific subsidy. So the government of India is providing the subsidies, okay, industry specific subsidy in terms of textile subsidies. It is going to provide the industrial based subsidy to MSMEs in general. So that is, and we try to understand that what is the philosophy behind that. Then we can discuss that there is also something known as housing subsidy. What is the meaning of housing subsidy? As government of India is running Prime Minister Awas Yojana. Okay, they are running a scheme known as Prime Minister Awas Yojana. So that means under this schemes, the downtrodden section of society is entitled to get the pakka house from the government of India, and for that that means in this interim budget only they have promised that in this financial year we will increase this figure from 2 crores to 3 crore. Okay, so that is known as housing subsidy. So that means just to give the pakka house to downtrodden section of society, government of India is running a scheme known as Prime Minister Awas Yojana, and through that Awas Yojana they are giving the subsidy to the downtrodden section of society. Okay, so that is the meaning of that. Means when we talk about the subsidy, this is the scenario in case of India in regard to the subsidy. Now we are going to proceed further, and we are going to discuss that how these subsidies are implemented. What is the implementation mechanism of these subsidies? So when we talk about the implementation mechanism, we can talk about the direct benefit transfers, that the subsidies are, there is something which is known as GEM, JAM, GEM Trinity, that is known as GEM Trinity. So GEM is nothing but Jandhan, A is nothing but Aadhaar, M is nothing but mobile. Through the GEM Trinity, the government of India is in position to transfer the subsidy amount directly to the accounts of beneficiary. That is known as direct benefit transfer. That is known as direct benefit transfer. So through the GEM Trinity, that is Jandhan, Aadhaar, mobile, government of India is in position to transfer the subsidy to the targeted section of society, and that is known as direct benefit transfer. So that means most of the subsidy in India nowadays is being transferred through the direct benefit transfer. But there is also the targeted subsidy. There is also a targeted subsidy, like we talk about the housing subsidy. That means downtrodden section of society, they are entitled to get the Pakka house under the Prime Minister Awas Yojana, under the Prime Minister. So that is nothing but targeted subsidy. That means that is nothing but targeted subsidy. That LPG cylinders, okay, that means under the LPG cylinders, that means the beneficiary, that direct, that I just want to say that there is not a watertight compartmentalization for, that means this targeted subsidy can be transferred directly to the beneficiary through DBT. Okay, so targeted subsidy means a specific section of society, a particular section of society is going to be provided a subsidy. That means each and every individual of society is not going to be benefited through the subsidy. It is not feasible. Okay, so that is the meaning of targeted subsidy, and that targeted subsidy may be in the form of LPG, it may be in the form of housing society, etc. Other is that that is known as price support mechanism. Like I talk about, that is nothing but price support mechanism, and we can talk about the minimum support price. Here we can talk about price support mechanism, we can talk about the minimum support price. That Government of India announced the minimum support price before the sowing of the Rabi crop. Okay, before the sowing of the Rabi crop, that means Government of India is announcing the minimum support price for many crops. Okay, and that is they are providing the minimum support price for 24 crops. Okay, and the rice and wheat and rice is also among them. So what is the minimum? That is nothing but price support mechanism, and that is also a subsidy. Okay, that is also a subsidy. That is that price support mechanism subsidy is being provided through the minimum support price. What is the minimum support price? Under the minimum support price, when the Government of India announced the minimum support price, through that Government of India promises to the farmers of this country that whatever amount of production you want to produce, you are free to do that production. And it is very clear with the market economy that if the production is going to increase, if the production of anything is going to increase, because of more production, supply is going to increase, and when the supply is going to increase, prices are going to be decrease. Okay, but this is the minimum support price that Government of India is promising to the beneficiaries or to the farming section of society, that whatever amount of production you want to produce, at least government is there to support you, and government is legally bounded to that purchase all your production at minimum support price. At minimum support price. Suppose Government of India announced the minimum support price of wheat, suppose 1800 rupees. Okay, and there is bumper crop of agriculture, that means wheat. With the bumper crop, the supply is going to increase. When the supply is going to increase, the prices are going to be down. So suppose the market price is going to be 1500 or whatever it may be. It is never going to be that, although the market price never down to the minimum support price. Okay, because at least government is there to purchase at minimum price. But hypothetically we are talking about the, suppose there is bumper crop, and because of that bumper crop there is a reduction in the prices, supply has increased and the prices has reduced to 1500, that no farmer is going to sold out to the market. That means that under this minimum support price, Government of India is legally bounded to produce all the agriculture production of wheat at the rate of 1800. That is known as minimum support price. That is nothing but known as price support mechanism. So that means Government of India is also giving the subsidy under the price mechanism, price support mechanism. And what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is just to increase the production of food grains, so that there can be food security. And because of this price support mechanism, or because of this subsidy, minimum support price, there is too much production of wheat and rice, and there is less production of other crops, and because of that there is lot many issues we will discuss, don't worry. So that is going to be the meaning of price support mechanism. Now we are going to proceed further and we are going to discuss that what are the challenges. Okay, I think it is very clear. Now we are going to proceed further and we are going to discuss that what are the challenges and criticism of subsidy. The very first challenge is it is going to increase the fiscal burden. What is going to be fiscal burden means when the government of India is going to give more and more subsidies, that means going to give more financial assistance to the needy sector. Okay, so that means it is going to increase the expenditure. When the expenditure is going to increase and there is not going to be increase in the receipts of the government, expenditure means whatever government has to make spending, whatever spending government of India is going to make, that is known as expenditure, and whatever income or whatever money government of India is going to get, that is known as receipts. So when the government of India is going to increase the subsidy, that means expenditure part of the government of India is going to increase, and suppose there is no increase in the receipt, that is income part of the government of India, that is going to increase the fiscal burden. That means mismatch between total expenditure and total receipts. And if the total expenditure is going to increase in comparison to total receipts, the government of India has to take more borrowings, and need of borrowing is nothing but fiscal deficit. So need of borrowing is nothing but fiscal deficit. As the subsidy is going to increase, the amount of fiscal deficit is going to increase. That is, government of India has to make more and more borrowings. That is going to that means reduce the fiscal fiscal consolidation. Okay, so that is known as fiscal burden. Okay, so that means it is going to give more and more burden to the government of India. So that is the very first. Other is inefficiency and leakage. In the subsidy scenario, there is inefficiency in the distribution, and still, although through the DBT, direct benefit transfer, there is reforms in inefficiency and leakage, but still there is leakages and inefficiency. Okay, so there is inefficiency and leakage, meaning that the subsidies are not reaching to the targeted section of society. Okay, that is being the earlier it was being availed by the that rich section of society. Now that 80% subsidies are reaching to the targeted section, but still there is inefficiency. Other is distortion in market. Okay, that is the subsidies are going to create the distortion in the market. Okay, not only this, there is going to be environmental concern. Okay, how there is going to be environmental concern, as I talked about. Let me discuss that how subsidies are going to create the environmental concern. As I talked about that government of India is announcing minimum support price, and through that minimum support price, the production of wheat and rice has increased. Okay, it has increased exponentially, and because of the increase in increase in the production of wheat and rice, it is that means cropping pattern of agriculture sector has that means change. Because of change in cropping pattern, that means we are not producing other crops. Because of that, what is going to be, the fertility of soil is going to decrease. Okay, and because of decrease in fertility of soil, we are not producing the other because we are not producing the other crops. Because of that, fertility of soil is going to decrease, and in order to increase the fertility of soil, the farmer is using excessive fertilizer. Because of that, what is going to be, because of that, the soil is becoming saline in nature, and because of that, there is going to be that soil is going to be cancerogenic. Okay, not only this, in order to increase the production, that there is especially in Punjab, there is free power. Okay, the electricity subsidy, the government of Punjab is providing the electricity subsidy or power subsidy, that they have not to pay any means payment for the consumption of electricity. Okay, so because of that there is over exploitation of water from the that means groundwater. There is over excessive use of groundwater. Because of that the water table is going to be down, and it is going to create lot many environmental issues. Not only that, because of excessive use of the water, there is going to be water logging in the fields, which is going to create the environmental concern. Okay, so these are the things. Okay, so that means there, what are the challenges? There is going to be more and more burden on the government of India, which is going to increase the fiscal deficit of India. So that is going to be fiscal burden. Other is there is inefficiency and leakage, and there is distortion in market, and there is environmental issues as well. When we talk about the reforms, what should be the reforms? That we already did it, that there should be Aadhaar integration, and we talked about GeM Trinity. Through the GeM Trinity we are transferring, we are doing direct benefit transfer, and because of that there is 80 or 90% subsidies are reaching to the targeted section, but still there is inefficiency. So that means there should be Aadhaar integration, and there is phasing out of diesel subsidies. Okay, there is need to have the more and more direct benefit transfer. More and more subsidies should be given under the direct benefit transfer. Okay, but there is that means misuse. When the subsidies are being provided through the directly in the accounts of the beneficiary, that means they are the downtrodden section of society. So most of the time they use those amount of subsidy for other purposes rather than the said purpose. They use most of the time they use the subsidy amount for other purposes, but there is no option available. So that means there should be more and more direct benefit transfers. And there is rationalization of fertilizer subsidy. Okay, fertilizer subsidy, there is rationalization of fertilizer subsidy. And today's session itself I discussed about nano DAP, and I talked about that if it is going to be implemented, it is going to be game changing. It is going to be game changing. Okay, so that means for nano DAP or nano urea is nothing but the rationalization in fertilizer subsidy. Okay, rationalization in fertilizer subsidy. So that means fertilizer and implementation of nano DAP, that is being announced by in the interim budget by our finance minister, that is going to be game changer, and it is going to reduce the fertilizer subsidy burden. So this is, now when we talk about the other current scenario, what is going to be, there is going to be rising cost. Okay, as I talked about, there is rising cost of subsidy, and the maximum, as that I talked about, there is 3.8 lakh crores subsidies are given. Okay, 3.8, this is 3.8 lakh crores. Okay, and under this food subsidy 2 lakh crore is given in the interim budget. Under the fertilizer subsidy, how much is given? That is 1.64 lakh crore, 1. lakh crores. And under the fuel or energy, okay, that is LPG subsidy, 11,928 crores, 11,928 crore is being provided. Okay, so that means they may ask in ascending or descending order. So maximum weightage is to the food subsidy. After that it is fertilizer subsidy. After that it is LPG subsidy, fuel or energy subsidy. So this is about the now when we talk about the what is the reform efforts. Okay, so that means there should be potential hike in food subsidy. Okay, there is potential hike. Okay, that means the food subsidy has increased, and it is because of the political reasons, as I talked about. Okay, earlier there was the foods was being provided at subsidized rate. Now under the Prime Minister 𝐔𝐏𝐸𝐬𝐿, they are providing food at the free. Okay, free of cost, and it has been extended for next 5 years. Okay, that means this was supposed to be ended in 2023, but because of the elections of 4 states, and because of the general election in 2024, for the parliament, they have extended it for next 5 years. Okay, so that is going to be, there should be LPG subsidies rationalization. So the LPG subsidies should be rationalized. The kerosene subsidy should be phased out. Okay, there should be fertilizer subsidy reforms, and we already talked about that nano DAP. There is something which is known as nano DAP. So the implementation of nano DAP and implementation of nano urea, and there should be DBT expansions. So this is all about our today's session. If there is any doubt, let me know. If there is any doubt, let me know. Otherwise, we stop here. Is there any doubt? We stop here. Thank you very much, dears. Thanks a lot.